The term codeline is commonly used to describe a group of files that evolve together over the life of the software application or application component. A codeline might include source code, build scripts, images, compiled code, and other files that are required to create the application. In more general terms, codeline can describe almost any set of files that evolve together in almost any type of project. For example, a codeline might contain a set of word processing documents for the latest release of a book, a set of HTML files, servlets, and JSPs used to construct a website, or a series of animated video segments, storyboards, and scripts for a soon-to-be-released movie. In each of these cases, the codeline contains all of the files that are associated with the project. A codeline has a life cycle. As you add objects to a project, they become part of the codeline. As you modify and save objects, the modifications are incorporated into the codeline. At the end of the project, the codeline typically contains all the objects necessary to generate the final product. Perforce tracks and records changes to a codeline as it evolves. Perforce records information about each change made to the codeline using change lists that are stored in the Perforce metadata while simultaneously storing physical changes to managed files in the depot. Perforce client applications display the hierarchy of the codeline files that reside in the user's workspace as a set of folders and files that resembles the view they'd expect to see when browsing their local file system. From a user perspective, the logical codeline view is typically very similar across all version control systems. The administrator's view of the files on the server, however, can vary widely between systems. For example, some version control systems use elements in the metadata to render the user's logical view of the codeline and insulate users from the physical layout of the files in the system storage. In this case, the location of the files on the server file system, as seen by the administrator, can be quite different than the structure represented on the client machine. To define the root of a logical codeline and the storage location for the codeline's files, Perforce uses a first-class object in the server file system. Branches off a codeline are normally maintained as folders in the codeline root folder on the server. This approach makes it easy for a Perforce administrator to understand the mapping between the codeline model and the files in the depot. Codeline or branch hierarchies are often illustrated using horizontal lines to depict branches, with time moving forward from left to right. A bit about codeline terminology. For the purpose of this discussion, we use the terms codeline and branch synonymously. The process of creating a new codeline from an existing codeline is called branching. A codeline is a child of a codeline from which it was branched. Conversely, the source codeline for a branch is the parent of the branch. A codeline that has no parent is called the trunk or main codeline. The process of propagating changes from one codeline to another is called integration. When you integrate, you can either merge the changes in the source codeline into the existing files in the target codeline, or copy the files from the source codeline to replace the files in the target codeline. Codeline types help you understand how the codeline is used. For example, development codelines are used for developing new features. Release codelines contain the files associated with a specific product release, and private codelines are used exclusively by one user, perhaps for a short prototyping effort. Branches can be sparse or full. A sparse branch contains a subset of the files contained in its parent branch. A full branch contains the complete set of the files from its parent. From a lifecycle perspective, branched codelines are typically short-lived compared to the parent codelines. For example, the lifecycle of a branch that was created to work on a set of files associated with a product bug ends when the bug fix is merged back into the parent codeline. Similarly, the lifecycle for a branch that contains all the files for a particular product release ends when that version is no longer supported. Effective branching helps facilitate parallel development efforts in which work on new product features, bug fixes, and revisions takes place across multiple branches simultaneously. When developing in parallel across multiple branches, changes made in child branches can be merged into the parent when the work being done in the branch has been completed or is ready for more exhaustive testing. Well-designed branching strategies help increase productivity and improve coordination across project teams. In the absence of an effective mechanism for the support of parallel development, even moderately complex projects become highly inefficient, error-prone project management nightmares.